I love the fact that I do so many things. I love the fact that I've curated this life where I have to choose between so many creative pursuits. And I love the fact that it takes longer than a minute to introduce myself. And I hope I can just build on it from, there on. Someone recently asked me, out of the many things that I do, how do I see myself achieving success in any one of those fields? And that really got me thinking. What is my measure of success? What does success mean to me? But first, let me start from the very beginning. Who am I? How did I get here? A little bit about me. Now, I come from an army background, an army brat, as we are popularly called. And in my case, befittingly so, because I was a brat, a rebel, and a complete misfit growing up. I was a prankster in my school, always, usually outside principal's office in punishment. Very, very naughty, a handful to my parents, a complete tomboy, so I had a lot of guy friends for a better part of my life as my friends. I was also, one of those students who was very eager to learn, so one of those annoying people in the class who would ask lots of questions. I love to wear my dad's hands-down jeans and pants as opposed to my mom's dresses and skirts. So clearly, very far away from the conventional idea of beauty and femininity, that wasn't me. Always a tomboy. And I was also, on the other hand, one of the best students in the class. I was always in the top 3. I had to be playing all sports. I was always out and about, taking part in extracurricular activities. I don't know how I did it, but I was always everywhere all the time. And I loved it. I loved being in school. I don't think I have ever purposely skipped school in, all my growing up years. But the thing about being an army kid is that you move to a lot of cities, which is great because you get to see a lot of new places, you meet a lot of people, you eat a lot of different food from different, cities, you get exposed to culture. It also builds a lot of adaptability in your system because, you're like, acha, 2 years, new station, let's get adapted, let's make new friends, let's settle in quickly. So that really becomes part of your DNA. But what is the downside is the fact that by the time you make friends with someone and you've decided to, promote your best friend from a BFF, best friend status to a BFF status, it's time to move cities. So you don't really form very deep bonds of friendship. You have friends all over the country, but not very, strong bonds. So I think somewhere down the line, very early on, subconsciously, I started attaching my personal happiness to goals that were in my control as opposed to people, because I knew people I would end up losing if I, move cities. But goals would remain with me. So I would have goals of winning a competition, coming first in class, taking part in something, becoming a school captain, so on and so forth. Those were my goals, right? And also, growing up years, I clearly remember my dad was kind of like my best friend. He said, you can always come and tell me everything. Now that became a trap later on in life, but earlier on it was pretty cool. So I would always go up to him for suggestions and stuff. And he was, of course, coming from an army background. Let me describe my father to you. So my dad is the typical Fauji, huh? He's like this handlebar mustache, stone-looking fellow, nothing very nice about him. But he's a softie at heart, right? And he is someone who has played a lot of sports growing up. So he always pushed me and encouraged me to go and play as many sports. And the beauty of playing sports is that you become a team player, you become confident, as an individual. You don't remain a sore loser even after you've lost. You know how to cope with things very quickly. And you're able to just be fit for life. You enjoy being fit. And that had been my, thing from the time I can remember. And not only that, my dad, I think very early on, had told me this, that if you work hard, you can get anything in life. And I was like, really? Like, that's all I've got to do. Just work hard and I'll get it. He's like, yeah. Okay, and I was like, okay, he makes it sound simple, but as, life happens, you realize it's not that simple. But it was a good motto to hold on to and work with because I knew this was in my control. I could work hard and achieve things in life. Better part of the school, I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. I was at one point wanting to become a professional tennis player because I was good at tennis. Then somewhere down the line, I wanted to become a Kathak dancer representing my country on world stage. So it kind of like kept changing year after year up until 12th standard. which is when my torrid affair with dramatics happened. And it changed me. It spoilt me for life. And I couldn't look back at anything else. I just couldn't see anything else ahead of me. But let's face it, at that point of time, if I had to walk up to my dad and tell him, ki, Dad, mujhe jaake heroine banna hai, that was not happening. Because no matter how good a friend he was, I knew he's not going to accept this. So when it came the point, for me to decide what I wanted to be in life, my dad said, oh, you argue really well. Maybe you should become a lawyer. And no, this wasn't a compliment. So I gave the National Law School Bangalore ka exam, and guess what? My marks came as -31. So clearly that wasn't happening. Now the popular opinion in the house was, okay, you talk a lot, you're very curious, you ask a lot of questions, you love traveling, you talk to random strangers, you should become a journalist. I was like, okay, yeah, doable, kar sakte hain. Let's do it. So went to college, did my journalism, started working as a journalist. The most miserable time of my life. Okay, I'm not even joking. There was not a single day in my life that I was excited that I was going to work. And it's got nothing to do with the job. It's got something to do with me. I was just not in the right place. And I was very unhappy. And I remember growing up, I read this quote by John Lennon, where a teacher had asked him, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said, I want to be happy. And that had stayed with me. And I knew it in my bones that this is not where I want to be in my life. And at that point in time, my best friend Atul would constantly be egging me on. He says, just talk to your parents. I will talk to your dad. You need to go to Bombay. This is not the place for you. And I was like, no, you don't talk to my dad. I'll talk to him. So yeah, there came a point where I did make this conversation happen, and he was mortified. My parents were appalled because they never saw that coming. And I said, listen, this is a fallback. I can always come back to this. But let me go do that and see if that can work out. What if? That what if was like, this bird with wings in my head that just wanted to take off. And it did. He said, okay, go, do what you want to do. So I came to this maximum city, the land of dreams, with small savings and lots of courage. Did not know a single soul, did not know how this industry works. No idea. I've lived on my own, but Bombay is a different beast altogether. So literally, let me tell you this one secret about this career as an actor. You do not make enough money in the initial bit to even pay your rent or put food on the table, let alone have a lifestyle. So all that glamour that we see comes much later, And I was like, now I've come here, I'm not going to ask my parents for the money to support me because it's my dream, and obviously your parents are going to be appalled if you're not successful. So I was like, okay, let me just see what all I can do. So chatterbox that I was, I said, let me just start hosting events. And I started hosting events, and I never saw the kind of money that they had, as an option also. And I was very, very happy. So I started doing that. Then the doors of voiceovers opened up to me, the doors of becoming, a script writer, a producer on a set. Little by little, I just kept going with the flow, and I actually learned so much about the business without even consciously trying. So the school of life became my school of learning, and I'm so grateful for all those people who helped me achieve that, in my journey. And I can safely say that if you're an entrepreneur, and I think every artist is an entrepreneur or a startup person because you're working for yourself, you're working for a brand that you're building. You don't know when success will come to you in what form, but you have to be at it diligently day in and day out, and that's it. There's no looking back. Once you've taken the dive, you have to keep going. So in this case, I was very, very grateful to the fact that I had a multiple sources of income supporting me. So it not only gave me the learning I needed as an actor to bring more to the table, I also had a lifestyle I wanted. I also had confidence that I wanted. And let me tell you, as an actor, your confidence and your self-belief is everything. Camera can catch that one little doubt in your, in your head that you would have about a scene, a character, or yourself. So I was very grateful here. I was always this person who was happy. Okay, now what's next? Let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. So I just had I didn't have brakes on my system. And I think it hasn't changed yet. And I'm pretty grateful for that. But also, okay, let's come back to the fact that I was a tomboy growing up, right? So now here's the thing. When I moved to the city of Bombay, I was still a tomboy. I hadn't learned to think about fashion or makeup or any of those things. If anyone was to find my audition tapes from the initial bit, please, friend, destroy them. Like, those they can't go out. They really can't go out. So I remember, my male co-actors helping me understand makeup because I didn't have a lot of female friends and I was naturally inclined to just like make friends with boys faster. So they were telling me, "Nahi, yaar, you're pretty, you don't need so much makeup, just a little bit is okay, it's okay." My mom, who I had been sort of fighting for the better part of my childhood, now suddenly becomes my best friend. And she's this epitome of grace and beauty. Like, she would put Sharmila Tagore of yesteryears to shame because she was so stunning. She is so stunning. So she helped me gain a little bit of sense in fashion and how to dress well and, be more appeasing to camera and people because, well, acting is a look-based business. So that's how I started to look presentable and get more and more work. Now, acting is not for a faint-hearted person. You need to be very thick-skinned because on an everyday basis, you are rejected 1,000 times by directors, producers, casting people, other actors, people just randomly, having an opinion on your life. There's a lot of, comparisons. People will tell you, you need to change this, you can be like this, you need to be like that, all of that. And there's a lot of instability. You don't know how much waiting period you would have between one job to the other. You could be sitting at home for days, months, years, you don't know. And for anyone who's slightly choosy, like I have been, it's very tough. It's not a piece of cake. So I remember during my hardest times, you don't really have anyone to turn to because everyone in Bombay is struggling in some way or the other, right? So this quote by Muhammad Ali, that great boxer, has always been something, it's on my board of quotes. And, he said, it's not the mountains that you climb that wear you down. It's the pebble in your shoe. That literally means it's your mindset. It's what's inside your heart and mind that really keeps you going from day after day after day after day. Once you decide to be that person who will take on challenges, there's no looking back. Now, the funny thing about, being in a city like Bombay, and especially for someone like me who has always gambled and juggled and taken risks, I have always been someone who has chosen things differently. Now, when I say differently, I'll tell you how. For anything that would come my way, it would never be just the money factor that would determine whether or not I want to do that. It would also be what's the value it's bringing to my life? How am I growing with it? What life experience is it teaching me? Because I have, for the longest part of my career, and even as a human being, I think I have been a student at life. I've always been trying to learn from things around me and from my own personal experiences as well. So I have actually consciously always chosen projects that would give me an extra thrill, an extra adventure, an extra exposure, whether it was good, bad, ugly, but it just brought out somewhere a new learning where I could see my own strengths and weaknesses. Because unless I don't know myself, I don't know what I'm capable of. And that learning, I think, for me has been a great tool for success. Because unless you're able to crack what's inside of you when you're like totally dismantling and reinstalling everything in your system, that's when you really understand how you are as a person. What's your breaking point? What really triggers you? What fuels you? What inspires you? So truly, life experiences have been my driving force for a better part of my career, and I hope it continues like that. And I think somewhere down the line, I have also realized and really embraced this fact that don't seek validation from your work alone. Your work, your job is not all of you. It's a part of you. You are so much more than that. For me, I am a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a kind-hearted person. I want to be a good human being every day, and I want to be a good citizen. I want to represent my country on a world stage. I want to be doing so many things. So how am I going to let this one aspect of my life define me? That's not possible, right? And I think the day I accepted that is the day when I have really been more happy with what I am doing in life than maybe ever before. So yeah, I think to just put it all together, success for me has literally been about being happy with what I'm doing, where I am, and who am I becoming. To taking on life with arms wide open, to never living inside a box, because I hate boxes. And I think to just really live life king size. And I want to leave you all with these words by a very famous poet called Rudyard Kipling. His poem called If has been my inspiration, always a go-to. And he says in that poem, if you can dream and not make dream your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, yours is the earth and everything in it. And which is more, you're a man, my son. Thank you.